Einen wunderschönen Willkommen zurück zu einer weiteren Folge von Lamplight City. Wir haben in der letzten Folge ein paar Dinge hier in Erfahrung gebracht von ihm. Er hatte den Vorfall gar nicht gesehen. Er hat es nur so getan, als ob und geschildert und letztendlich den Angeklagten fälschlicherweise angeklagt. Das wissen wir zumindest jetzt. Ich möchte jetzt mal noch hier mit der Haushaltshilfe sprechen, falls das überhaupt möglich ist. Ich glaube nicht.
Amelie?
Yes? What is it? We mustn't be seen talking.
Oh.
Anything you can tell me about John?
I hardly
Ist der
ever see him.
Stiefvater.
Only at dinner. He's scared of Madam, and so he finds any reason to get out of the house and stay away as long as he can.
Scared of her?
Oh, it's true. You should see him when they're in private, like a shamed puppy that dirtied the carpet.
Interesting.
Do you have any idea why Jean is so afraid of Madame DuPrées?
If he's seen the same things we have, then yes.
What kind of things?
No, I spoke out of turn. Forget I said anything.
Amelie, listen to me. A potentially innocent man's life is on the line. If I don't find out who attacked Madame DuPrées, he's as good as dead. So if there are any facts or details you know that I don't, you need to tell me.
I can't.
Warum nicht?
You can. I'm not with the police. If Madame DuPrées did something wrong, I'm not going to look the other way. Trust me, I'm on your side.
Madam beats the servants. I think she even does it for fun. I hear the screams sometimes. I don't know how anyone else in the family doesn't. Maybe they do and just ignore it. I don't know. But if Mr. DuPrées knows what she do, it explains why he's so scared of her.
Did Madame DuPrées ever abuse you?
No, I was lucky, but some of the others weren't.
Like who? I need details, Amelie.
The old gardener, Guy Dumas, and one of the maids, Celine. I saw Madam going after them the most. Don't know what they did to deserve it, but I would see her walk by in a rage, whip in one hand and a book in the other.
Oh,
Book?
oh.
What book?
Oh, I don't know. I can't read, so I don't know what it said on the cover. But it's the same color as the stew spice I always use. Don't know what she used it for, but she always had it with her, just before a beating.
Maybe she'd recite them some of her terrible poetry. I'm sure that was torture enough.
Du, das ist nicht lustig. Clue added.
Tell me more about Guy and Celine.
They were deeply in love with each other. I used to hear them talk about how they wanted to run away together.
What happened to them?
I don't know. One day they were here, and then one day they weren't.
Do you think Madame DuPrées may have done something to them?
I couldn't say for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if she had. Please, let's not talk about this anymore.
Thank you, Amelie. I appreciate your time.
Harter Tobak.
You're welcome. Now please, let me get back to work.
Harter Tobak. Sie hat die anderen geschlagen, also die anderen beiden, Guy und Celine. Und es könnte natürlich auch sein, dass diejenigen es waren, die um sich von der Tortur und den Qualen... Oh Gott.
I have some questions for you.
All right.
Okay, wir können hier nochmal was fragen.
Did you know Guy Dumas?
The old gardener? Sure, I knew him. We didn't talk very much. He was just a servant after all, but he seemed like a nice man. He stopped coming around about 2 months ago. Too bad, really. He did a good job of keeping the gardens looking nice. The new one is all right, but he just doesn't have that special touch Guy did.
Okay. Seit 2 Monaten schon.
Were you familiar with a servant named Celine?
Yes, I believe she was one of the maids. I didn't talk to her very much. Oh, she quit not so long ago. At least I assume she did. I haven't seen her in about 3 months.
Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Aha. So, warte mal. Was hat sie gesagt? Ihre Kochbücher? Sehen wir hier irgendwas mit Kochbüchern? Nee, ne? Shelf?
Certainly no shortage of bowls or food preparation items around here.
Warte mal. Casebook. Wir haben Clues. Amelie's Testimony. Madame DuPrées would beat her servant. Also schlägt ihre Diener. At times seemingly, meistens oder sehr oft eben halt aus Spaß und der Freude. Sie nutzt eine Peitsche, aber trägt auch ein Buch, welches dieselbe Farbe hat wie Amelie's Stew Spice. Das ist gerade da drauf,
looks
ne?
like gumbo's on the menu tonight. I wonder how it compares with Upton's special recipe.
Was ist ein Stew Spice?
It's times like these make me wish I could still eat.
Jetzt beim Ernst, was ist ein Stew Spice? Ach, hier, warte mal.
Looks like the type of spices you'd use in a stew. Most likely paprika or turmeric. Nice variety of reds and oranges.
Reds and Orange, okay. Dann gehen wir mal nach oben zu den Büchern. Die waren da. Nicht. Doch. Da ist das rote Buch, was wir schon haben liegen sehen. Das hier. Tja. Auswahl und Konsequenzen, ne? Oder Wahl und Konsequenzen.
Well, this should be the book Amelie mentioned. Well, what have we here?
Ui.
A whip. And it has dried blood on it. How ghastly.
Wow.
This house is just full of secrets, isn't it?
Wow. Eine blutige Peitsche. Eine blutüberströmte Peitsche ist hinter einem Gemälde versteckt gefunden worden in Madame DuPrées Schlafzimmer. Vermutlich, um eben halt die Diener zu schlagen.
As amusing as it is to chat.
Doctor, may I ask you a few questions?
Please be my guest.
Tell me what you know about Jean DuPrées.
I'd rather not speak of him. Madame DuPrées does not need to be agitated any further.
I take it you don't look very favorably upon him, then.
I'll just say this. If my wife had been attacked and left for dead, you can be sure I wouldn't leave her side.
What a gentleman. He doesn't even leave women who aren't his wife.
I see what you mean. Do you know where I might find him?
I only wish I did.
Those are all the questions I've got for now.
I hope I answered them adequately.
Sie kann immer noch nicht sagen. Wir können aber die Tochter fragen. Und ihr die Peitsche zeigen.
Hello again, Miss Montgomery. Mind answering a few more questions?
Hello, Mr. Fordham. Not at all.
Is there anything you can tell me about your stepfather, Jean?
He's a kind man. I don't really see him too often. He seemed rather upset at Mother's funeral, but I can't help but wonder if he feels the same way as I do about her death.
What do you mean?
Just that I get the distinct impression that he and Mother's marriage isn't as perfect as they'd like it to appear.
I'm starting to sense a trend here.
Your brother told me that Jean enjoys hunting. Do you know where his cabin is?
Yes, it's in Fenton Swamp. I went out there with him a few times, but I didn't really enjoy it.
Okay.
Frankly, the place is rather grotesque. All those stuffed trophies staring at you with their cold, dead eyes. Plants are much nicer to have around. Anyway, if you take the main road through the swamp about 1.5 miles, you'll come upon a small dirt path that goes northeast.
Okay.
Take that until you see a small cabin on the left. That's it.
Thank you for the information, Miss Montgomery.
Okay, das wissen wir jetzt auch schon mal. Oder ist es vielleicht der Ehemann gewesen, dass er so erschrocken war, als sie dann wieder auferstanden ist, ne?
Do you know Guy Dumas?
Yes, he was one of our servants. He used to enjoy reading my books, as well as Andrew's.
When did you see him last?
Just last week, he came by to see me and asked to borrow some books.
Do you know where I might be able to find him?
Not really. I get the impression that he moves around frequently. But I can tell him you're looking for him next time I see him, if you like.
Please do. Although hopefully I'll be able to find him before then.
Okay, dann ist er nicht tot, wie vermutet. Was mit Celine?
Were you friends with Celine, the maid?
Yes, I was quite fond of Celine. She was so sweet and interesting to talk to. One day, she just left the house with no explanation. Mother said it was because she had found work elsewhere. I was terribly saddened. I wish I'd had the chance to say goodbye to her, at least.
Das ist nicht
What's
gut.
your interest in her?
Oh, I was just curious, that's all. No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
Ich vermute mal, ich speichere mal einfach mal ab, nicht wundern. Ich vermute mal, dass die Mutter die Celine umgebracht hat mit der Peitsche und das wurde gesehen. Und irgendjemand hat sich gerächt, mehr oder weniger. Ah, wir können zur Hunting Cabin. Das machen wir auch einfach mal.
Hello?
Es fehlt ein
Is
Gewehr.
anyone here?
Strange of DuPrées to leave the door unlocked. Maybe it means he'll be returning soon.
Hier fehlt ein Gewehr.
The guns is missing. Jean must be out using it currently.
Let's see if Jean has anything interesting in here.
Not very much, except a letter.
Lieber Jean, ich danke dir so sehr für deine Hilfe. Ne, warte mal. Daran zu denken, dass Mutter versucht hat, mich von meinen Studien fernzuhalten oder wegzuziehen, ist einfach unglaublich. Aber sorge dich nicht, ich werde ihr nicht erzählen, dass du eben halt dafür gesorgt hast, dass die Universität ihr Vorhaben zurückgezogen hat. Ne? Also sprich, die Mutter hat bei der Universität interveniert, um sie rauszuschmeißen, und der Vater hat das alles wieder rückgängig gemacht. Also der Stiefvater. One attempt to win a life is quite enough. Ein Versuch, ein Leben zu gewinnen, ist eben halt genug? Keine Ahnung. Oh. Oh.
Who the hell are you? What are you doing in my cabin?
Jean DuPrées, I presume?
Yes, that's right. Who are you?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. I'm looking into the attempted murder of your wife.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Forgive my rudeness, but you startled me.
Perfectly understandable, Mr. DuPrées.
This is a man whose bark is most definitely worse than his bite.
Wir gucken erst mal.
Satchels, boxes, and other assorted boring things for hunting. I had a nasty run-in with an alligator when I was a child. One less in the world doesn't really bother me, to be honest. An absolute bore. Are these even native to New Bretagne?
Ich glaube nicht.
It seems Mr. DuPrées is a Bollingworth man. Maybe he's not so bad after all.
Aha, trinkt gerne, ne?
Not a very dignified end for our friend Mr. Bear. You really have to wonder about someone who chooses to surround themselves with dead things.
Tja. Aber hier scheint... Oh,
Some
warte.
high society type in the middle of a hunt. I don't understand why anyone would get a thrill out of murdering innocent creatures.
Ach, schade, da ist nichts. Ich dachte, dieser Pixel ist irgendwas. Gut, scheint nichts weiter zu sein, also...
Can we talk, Mr. DuPrées?
I suppose so. Yes.
Oh.
What can you tell me about Madame DuPrées?
Oh, my dear wife. The past few days have been just awful for all of us.
Yes, I can imagine.
Ist ja französisch.
How long have you been married?
For 7 wonderful years. Laura and I are just as much in love now as we were on the day we married.
Naja.
Boy, does he actually expect anyone to believe that nonsense?
You'll pardon me for being so frank, Mr. DuPrées, but why are you out hunting and not at your wife's side?
Excuse me? Who are you to lecture me on my marriage?
A fellow married man, that's who. Your wife has just suffered a very traumatic ordeal. Shouldn't you be at home caring for her?
But
Bah.
this was a confusion at the house with the police investigating and her being attended to by her doctor. I just needed to get away for a bit. Surely you can understand, Mr. Fordham.
Ach, klar nicht.
There's something off about this guy, Miles. He's definitely hiding something. And for once, I don't think it's from his wife.
Do you know anything about the circumstances surrounding Madame DuPrées' death?
Horrible. Simply horrible.
Do you have any idea why Mr. Martin might have attempted to kill her?
Mr. Martin? You mean the boys they arrested? Andrew said it's because Martin and his mother are witches who prey on the well-to-do. You only need to take one look at him to see his trouble. It's a shame they put him away so quickly. I'd have liked to teach him a lesson or two, believe you me.
Yeah, right. A lesson on how to cower in the corner, most likely.
Also ist, glaube ich, einer der ersten, der sich sehr verdächtig verhält hier.
I suppose it goes without saying that you enjoy hunting, Mr. DuPrées?
Yes, I do. I consider myself something of an outdoorsman, you see. It's nice to be able to go out and get some fresh air after being sat at the bank all day.
What about your home life?
Truth be told, I'm not at home as often as I'd like to be. I've been trying to make more time, but something usually comes up. business is business after all.
Yeah, but what business are we talking about here exactly?
Ich habe keine Ahnung.
What can you tell me about your stepchildren?
Andrew and Juliet? I see a bright future ahead for both of them.
What's your relationship with them like?
It's fine. Why do you ask?
I got the distinct impression from both of them that they hardly ever see you.
Well, yes, I suppose that is true. We don't spend much time together. But they're both so busy with school, I don't want to get in their way. Not to mention my job keeps me away from home for considerable periods of time.
Excuses, excuses. I get the feeling Mr. DuPrées avoids his family on purpose. But why?
Tja, warum?
Do you fear your wife, Mr. DuPrées?
Do I... what?
The question's quite simple. Are you afraid of Madame DuPrées?
Why in the east would you think that?
I'd be afraid of someone who kept a bloody whip in my bedroom. Care to explain that?
You don't know her like I do. No one does. Well, no one aside from the servants, I suppose. She's cruel, Mr. Fordham. Crueler than anyone or anything I've ever seen.
Tell me more about Madame DuPrées' cruelty.
She treats the servants like animals, Mr. Fordham. She would say the most vile, awful things to them. Things I would expect to hear on the Gascon docks, not from the lips of a grande dame. And the beatings. Oh, God. The screams I would hear from somewhere in the house. I never dared find out where.
Nobody else ever heard the screaming?
No. She was cunning. She would do it when no one else was around. Once she knew I had heard, she threatened me. Told me she would...
Yes?
She what?
She threatened to expose my secret, Mr. Fordham.
Secret?
And what secret is that?
Our marriage is one of convenience. It's all for show. Laura has herself a well-to-do husband, and I am a normal man in the eyes of society.
I see. I suppose that would explain a few things.
Well, now, how was that not obvious to you? The soporific is really having a bad effect on you.
Don't worry, Mr. DuPrées. Your secret's safe with me.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham.
Oh, ein Plot-Twist. Aber ich glaube nicht, er hätte viel zu verlieren, hätte er sie umgebracht. Auf der anderen Seite. Na, mal gucken.
Tell me what you know about Guy Dumas and Celine.
Celine had an accident.
What kind of accident?
Laura thought Celine had been stealing her silverware. She got a bit carried away with a beating and...
DuPrées killed Celine?
Yes, she did. In order to keep it quiet, she had Celine placed in our family tomb.
I see. What about Guy?
I don't know. I never saw him again after that.
Well, this case has certainly taken a turn for the sinister.
Do you know anything about Madame DuPrées trying to get Juliet taken out of her classes at the university?
Ah, yes. Laura didn't approve of her daughter's desire to further her education. So, she sent a letter to the university requesting Juliet's withdrawal. I didn't approve of her trying to meddle in Juliet's affairs. If she wants to study, she should be free to do so. I wrote them a letter myself, without Laura's knowledge, telling them to disregard the previous request for withdrawal.
That's very good of you.
Yes, well, I dislike seeing people being told what they can and can't do by others.
Yet, he seems perfectly willing to employ servants at his home. Well, I suppose we're all hypocrites in one way or another.
I'll be going now.
Au revoir, Mr. Fordham.
Oh, das wiegt richtig schwer.
Sean probably wouldn't appreciate you snooping through his things while he's watching.
Ist egal. Oh mein Gott. Nun gut, wir machen hier einen Cut an der Stelle. Das ist nämlich sehr viel an Infos, die wir jetzt bekommen haben. Und ja, wir müssen gucken, ob wir Guy irgendwie bekommen. Das werden wir wahrscheinlich nur über die Tochter herausbekommen. Und wir sollten uns den Friedhof näher ansehen, weil wir dort mitunter die Leiche finden werden. Vielleicht. Lassen wir uns überraschen. Vielen Dank fürs Zusehen und bis zur nächsten Folge. Euer Firefox.